Hi, in this lecture we will talk about writing task 2, write in email. This task is a new task in writing section as well as the first one. In this task you will see a description of some situation. Inside the description you will see some bullet points which you need to fulfill in your email. For example, you have to reply to your coworker and state your opinion about the situation. Then you need to propose some solution, how you can solve this problem. In this task, you need to write a polite, goal-focused email that addresses every bullet in the prompt. You need to include to whom you send this email, as well as the subject, greeting, short paragraphs, and closing with your correct name. For this task, you have 7 minutes, and in the whole test, you'll only see one task of this type. You need to focus on input prompt, matching original style of the request, and of course time management. But first of all, let's talk about the scoring. So you can get the full score if you fully address all the bullets. Without addressing all the bullets, all the points from the prompt, you cannot get the full score. So it is very important that you read and fully understand what is your colleague or your friend or the professor in university is asking you about, and you have to address every single bullet from his or her email. You also have to follow the same tone. If it is a professional letter, you have to write this exactly same professional and concise email. To get 4 points, you usually address most of the bullets, but not all. Your email is usually clear, and you might have some minor issues in tone or language. 3 points usually covers basics but uneven detail, organization, noticeable language errors. And 2 points if you miss bullets, your structure is weak, and you have many errors. Now let's talk about strategies. First of all, you have to use correct structure of your email. Use proper email conventions. Start with an appropriate greeting, hello or dear. Organize your email with clear paragraphs addressing each bullet point. So for each bullet, you have a special paragraph in your email. And with an appropriate closing. Best regards, sincerely, and then you put your correct name. So usually the structure of your email is the following. You have a greeting, then you state the topic, and then you answer bullets, which usually is some proposal or some solution to some uncertain situation. You can also include details. So you do some summary or you state some request, and then you add the closing, like best regards, sincerely, and you put your name. So the next strategy is about tone and language. You have to match the tone of the original request you see in the task. In most of the cases, you'll get a formal prompt. So you have to adjust some casual words or casual phrases that you use in your email to match the formal tone of your response. For example, instead of I have a problem, say I encounter a technical issue, or I encounter an issue, or you can say I experience difficulties with. You have to be polite and direct. Use phrases like could you please or I would appreciate. Use neutral verbs and avoid blame. At the same time, offer solutions. Link ideas with transitions, however, additionally as a next step. In the last part of your time, you have to do proofreading. What is this technique? What is this strategy? You have to first of all check names, addresses, scan for missing bullets, and check the intendants between the paragraphs. Can you spot what is incorrect? It might be not that easy, right? But in the incorrect option, letters N and H swapped. So you have to do proofreading because sometimes you might misclick on the buttons and you can end up with such incorrect words, which will lower your score. Then you have to fix verb tenses and agreement, punctuation and spacing as well. For example, if you write your email, you might write, he asked me for the report yesterday, I have sent it today. And then if you proofread the email, you may spot that you actually have to write, he asked me for the report yesterday, I have sent it today. So If you are talking about the past, the time and the tense of the verbs should match within the sentence, or better within your text. So this is the rule. So this is the common rule. And while you're proofreading, you may spot these mistakes. Replace some unclear words with precise alternative. For example, instead of thing, use document, task, or issue. Instead of a lot of problems, say several technical issues. What about timing for this task? As you may notice, you only have 7 minutes for this task, so you have to be very fast. That's why it is also very important to practice, to have enough practice before you go to an actual test. How you should plan your response. In the first 30 and 40 seconds, you have to read the task carefully. Look at the points you need to include in your email and pay close attention to what you asked for. After that, you have to proceed to write an email, following provided strategies. Again, you have to use short paragraphs, up to 2-4 sentences each, and focus on completing the task and being clear. So it's better to spend up to 5 minutes on the main part of email, and then you have 1 minute left or slightly more, and you do proofread of your email. So you check that it's clear, polite, and accurate in grammar and vocabulary, and you also will make corrections if it is needed. Now we will go through templates that you can use for different types of email. That's also a rather important thing, to identify which type of email you are dealing with. And apart from the tone, you can also get some request from your group mate, or you may need to write a follow-up email, or it is an apology. So for each of these cases, you can use a different templates. And in the provided material to this lecture, you can get many templates from this lecture, and I encourage you to revise them every time before you proceed to practice, so you can master those templates and you can use as accurate template as you need on an actual test. So let's go ahead. For the follow-up emails, when you're going to explain the purpose of your email, you can use phrases such as, I'm following up on my previous message about, or I just wanted to check whether you received my earlier email. For the context or details, you can say, I wanted to make sure everything is clear about, or in my previous email, I asked about some topic and I just wanted to confirm if there are any updates. If you are making a request, you can say, please let me know if I need to take any further actions, or I look forward to hear from you soon. If it is an apology email, you can say, I'm writing to apologize, or please accept my apologies. For the context and details, you can support your reason with such phrases like, the delay was caused by, or unfortunately I was not able to do something because of. And as for requests, you can say, I would be grateful if you could let me know how can I fix it. Again, you can come back to this part anytime, and you can revise these materials and make sure you know the proper templates before you proceed to practice. If you need to write complaint or problem emails, you can use phrases like, I'm writing to let you know about a problem I have experienced with, or I'd like to report an issue regarding. For details, you can say, the issue occurred when I was doing this. I noticed that. And as for requests, you can say, could you please look at this issue, or I would really appreciate your assistance. If it is a request or inquiry, you can say, I'm writing to ask you about, or I'm contacting you to find out if you can help me with. As for details, you can say, I saw your announcement about, or I heard from someone or somewhere that. And for requests, you can say, could you please tell me, would it be possible to, or I was wondering whether you could provide me something. Now let's go to an actual example for this task. And after this task, we'll go into sample answer and talk about how it is structured. So in this task, your coworker Kevin recently recommended you a new restaurant for your team to visit. You took the team there, but everyone was disappointed. The food was not good as expected, and the service was slow. You need to inform Kevin about the situation and discuss future lunch options. Write an email to Kevin. In your email, do the following. So now you'll see the bullets which you have to fulfill. So you can imagine you have 3 paragraphs for each of these bullets where you do what is required from you while writing email. Explain what was wrong with the restaurant, describe the team's reaction to the visit, and suggest alternative lunch arrangements. Write as much as you can in complete sentences. Let's go to sample answer. To Kevin, subject is the same as in task, and then you proceed with the part that you have to write on your exam. Dear Kevin, I hope you're doing well. So notice that which type of email is that? So this is rather a complaint or reporting a problem email. I hope you are doing well. I wanted to thank you for recommending the new restaurant for our team lunch. However, I feel I should inform you about the experience so we can plan future lunches more effectively. Unfortunately, the visit did not meet our expectations. The food quality was lower than anticipated, with some dishes arriving cold and under-seasoned, and the service was slower than usual. Then you proceed to team's reaction. The team's reaction reflected these issues. While everyone appreciated the chance to get together, many were disappointed by the combination of slow service and the quality of the meals. And then we proceed to the next bullet. For our upcoming team lunches, I suggest we consider alternative options. We could either return to some of our previous enjoyed restaurants or explore new places that have consistently positive reviews. Thank you again for your suggestions, and I hope this feedback is helpful for planning future events. So notice that this email addressed all the bullets. Again, we can come back and see that you have to explain what was wrong with the restaurant, and it is exactly stated in the paragraph started with "Unfortunately, this visit did not meet our expectation," and then it proceeds to saying that the service was slow and the food was dishes were arriving cold and under seasoned. Then you in the bullets, according to the bullets, you had to describe the team's reaction to the visit, and it's exactly what is stated in the next paragraph. The team's reaction reflected this issue, and you explain what actually happened during the visit. And the last part, you have to suggest alternative, which is accurately stated in the last part. We could either return to some of our previous enjoyed restaurants or explore new places that have consistently positive reviews. So that's how you fulfill all the bullets point requested. And then you have to use some closing. In this case, thank you again for your suggestion, and I hope this feedback is helpful for planning future team events. Best regards, your name. So as you can see, this task is not hard, but you have to do enough of practice by yourself, using strategies, using templates that you will choose by yourself from provided options, and then do as much practice as you can. So you'll definitely get full score easily on this task using provided information. Just you have to put enough efforts into your practice, and these templates and this information and templates will help you a lot.